Hey YouTube, it's Jay, channel's Questionable Behavior, and I am reacting to a video that I cannot believe. A gentleman is being paroled that murdered someone 27 years ago. But it wasn't just murder. It was the circumstances of the murder. It was his state of mind and the fact of the brutality of the murder that's really getting to me. So I'm going to let the video play. I'm going to let you hear what happened. And then I'm going to chime in and say what I think, because paroling this guy after what he did would not be what I consider reasonable. Here we go.
It was one of West Michigan's most infamous crimes, but now the convicted killer serving a life sentence has been granted parole.
In 1997, a jury convicted 16-year-old Federico Kiko Cruz of first-degree murder for the savage beating and beheading of a Grand Rapids area teenager named David Crawford. Cruz was sentenced to mandatory life in prison.
But that sentence was upended when the U.S. Supreme Court struck down mandatory life for juveniles. Now, according to the Michigan Department of Corrections, Cruz has been granted parole.
Now, I'm not in agreement with that. I mean, he was 16 years old, so he was a juvenile. I think that when he was sentenced, that they should have taken into account that he was a juvenile at that time, and maybe some type of mandatory mental institution, should have been considered. But what has been done, and they don't go into it in this story, what's been done to in some way improve upon his mental condition? Because I think it takes a real twisted individual to behead someone. I don't care what they did to you, and I am just saying that even if somebody really violated me and my family in some heinous way, that I would want to behead them. Shows some level of just unbelievable insanity. And I say insanity because that's exactly what I mean. Let's keep going.
News 8's Adriana Doria went to Sparta and talked with neighbors who wonder why this is happening.
It's just a kick in the gut when somebody can do something like that. David doesn't get a second chance, but Kiko does. How is that?
Jason Saygraves was just 12 years old and lived right next door to the terror. And now, nearly 30 years later, it's something he says he can't forget.
I saw some stuff in that situation that still sticks with me. You can't mentally heal from that.
Federico Kiko Cruz was 16 when he killed 17-year-old David Crawford, severed his head, and recorded himself mutilating the remains.
Come on. Seriously? Mutilating the remains? All right, so he cut the head off, and then he did stuff to the body and head, or both. Seriously? That is someone who has complete insanity on their mind. I'm sorry. Something's wrong with this guy. Look at him. And let's just keep going.
But I don't know as I'd call it ritualistic or satanic at this stage of the game, but it was bizarre to say the least.
Convicted in 1997, Cruz has been serving life without parole at the Handlin Correctional Facility in Ionia. It seemed that even after the nation's high court struck down mandatory life for juveniles, Cruz would never get out.
I never thought in a million years he would get out after what he did.
In 2016, the Kent County Prosecutor's Office filed motions to impose no parole sentences on 13 defendants serving life terms for murder committed as teens.
Will you look at how he looks? Really? That boy is sick. Look at that smirk on his face.
Topped the list. In November of 2018, a judge ruled that the, quote, savage butchery of the crime and a history of antisocial behavior precludes Federico Cruz from ever leaving prison.
And so what changed? 2018, they said, nah. What he did was just way out of bounds, and he ain't never getting out. Now it's 2023 and he's getting out.
But in August of 2023, Cruz was given a shorter prison sentence and an opportunity for release.
The violence of this crime at 16 years old, and it's just not right. It's just not safe.
Cruz is now 45 years old and has been in prison for about 27 years. He He's expected to get out of prison at the end of March.
They have not said exactly why they changed their mind about letting this guy out of jail. And I'm really curious to hear why he was granted parole.
I feel so horrible for the Crawfords because of the pain and suffering they have experienced because of what I did.
Yeah, whatever. You know what to say. You've been coached. Ain't no way this dude should be getting out of jail. And I still haven't heard why it was turned over and he was granted parole.
Despite the decades of time that have passed in Sparta, this crime still very fresh for this community. Neighbors saying knowing Cruz will be back out brings them right back to that terrifying time.
It's his fault. He doesn't need to be out. He doesn't need to be. There's no good that's gonna come from it.
And this guy saying all these things, I would really be worried that, this guy Cruz sees him. They were in some way associated with one another. He knew the guy that got killed. And now, is he coming back to the same neighborhood? Come on, man. Seriously? I wonder if the judge or whomever is responsible for letting this guy out was the victim of his depravity. Would they be okay with him coming back to their neighborhood? I think the answer is no.
Feelings not shared with everyone in that neighborhood.
Hope the best for the guy, He was young. We all made stupid mistakes.
This guy is an idiot. He was young. We all made stupid mistakes. Let me ask you something. Of all of the United States citizens, how many behead someone and murder someone? Now, the murder percentage is probably less than 1%. And then the murder of that, the one who murdered somebody and beheaded and mutilated the body, I'm sure is 1 in a million. Okay, so this dude is a complete idiot. He looks like an idiot.
We were kids, and, this one's hard to take, but
Okay, so you're talking out of both sides of your face. You said this one's hard to take, then it's a no. But it's okay. Oh, man.
Definitely can be forgiven, I believe.
How are you forgiving him? How can you forgive him? You don't even know him. And you don't know the circumstances associated with the family. I'm not forgiving anybody or saying that he should be forgiven because I have no direct connection to it. Forgiveness is granted based on some connection. And I feel a pain that you caused. Therefore, I need to either not forgive you or forgive you. Who's this guy to be forgiving anybody?
It's now a waiting game until Cruz's return to society, leaving Jason shocked by how this could have happened in the first place.
I did not think that our system would fail us to that extent, no. When he had his life sentence reduced, that alone shocked me. For what he did and how he did it, I don't know how anybody in the justice system can look at that and say, he's redeemed, he's okay to go back into public. It is not logical to me at all.
In Grand Rapids, Adriana Doria, News 8.
Wow. Are you kidding me? They still have not said why he was allowed parole. In 2018, judge said never going to happen. Now in 2023, what was the justification for granting this guy parole? I have no idea. If someone knows, could you please chime in and tell me? Because this is absolute insanity to let this guy out. He beheaded and mutilated a body. That in and of itself says that you are not fit for society. So, yeah, my name is Jay. The channel is Questionable Behavior, and this is the definition of questionable behavior. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Be well.